Hello, hello. So today I have something a little different. Ferris Wheel Press sent me this Sweetbriar Rose Professional Calligraphy ink to have a look at. They're releasing a new line of professional calligraphy inks that you don't put in your fountain pens, but you use with dip pens, and you can use it with brushes as well. So I honestly don't have any experience with calligraphy inks, so this will be new to me. I also don't really have very great calligraphy writing, so I'm just going to try it out, and I'm sure the calligraphers out there will be cringing. But yeah, let's have a look at it together and just see how different it is actually to fountain pen ink. So I like to open my boxes with a palette knife. It just helps not tear them. Super duper easy. Ooh, I like this packaging. Oh wow, this is really pretty. This is such a great bottle. Look how sturdy that is. So if you're not familiar with the regular fountain ink bottles that Ferris Wheel Press has, these are the two types. This is the 38 ml and this is the 20 ml, I believe. Yes. So these are absolutely gorgeous, aesthetically beautiful, but a little on the rocky side if you're not careful. But the calligraphy ink one has this giant surface area if you look at these two. So this isn't going to tip over. This is a great, great design. So the lids on these are different as well. This seems to be more of a lighter material. I don't think it's the same material as this. The color is different. It is definitely thinner. It's more like of a aluminium lid here or something like that, whereas this is definitely a very solid, heavy lid. So a little bit different there, and I think the opening for this is going to be, if this is any sign, it's going to be bigger than this, but we'll take a look. Yes, so it does have a bigger opening. Let me just show you these. These are the same for the little one. So much, much bigger opening, which would make sense because you're going to use this with a dip pen. That has this giant silicone plug here. I already opened this up once because I just wanted to have a smell of it, but let's open it again. It does get a little bit crusty, so you got to be careful. So this seems to be an acrylic base calligraphy ink. As far as I can tell, the smell of it smells like acrylic ink. It is really quite deliciously thick. So yeah, you definitely don't want to be putting these in your fountain pen. I think it would clog it terribly. So don't do that. It's just for dip pens and painting. So let's have a look at it. Okay, so I have a couple of tools. I have my nib holder. This one just has a little bit of cork on here, so it's a little more comfy. And I have a couple of nibs. I have I think there's a Leonard or a blue pumpkin. So this is kind of a flex nib. I have this poster nib, and I have a Leonard ornament nib or something. Really interesting round nib here, and you can get these all in different sizes. If you're someone who does calligraphy, I'm sure you know much more about these than me, so I'm not going to pretend that I know anything, but I just thought we could have a look at the ink and muck around a little bit. Okay, so this is just some writing paper from Daiso. It works really nice with fountain pens, so I thought I would just try it with the dip pen. Wow, that's scratchy. It's so funny. After using fountain pens, this just seems so scratchy because it has no tipping on it. So when you have a traditional fountain pen, it has like a little ball of tipping on there, so it gets really smooth. Whereas this is, you can hear the texture. So I think this is kind of drying on the nib here, so I am not sure if I'm supposed to rinse it before dipping in it again. So I'm just going to rinse it and see how it comes off. Okay, yeah, I don't know if you can see it on there, but it did dry a little bit on there. So maybe you have to dip more frequently. Again, this is not a tutorial for using dip pens. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to test out this ink because it's a really pretty color. But yeah, let's keep going with it. Let's try one of the other nibs. So this is our poster nib. So this has a kind of like a parallel pen, if you ever used a parallel pen. So the ink gets trapped in there and then it'll draw a nice thick line. So let's try this out. Ooh, that's gorgeous. It lays down a lot of ink. I am not very good at this. Okay, well, as far as the color goes, I think it is gorgeous, and I'm pretty good at doing straight lines, but yeah, as far as writing, not so great. As you can see here, I think I need a little more training with this pen. And again, I don't know if you can see that, but just rinsing it out in water doesn't really get off all the ink like it would with a traditional fountain pen ink. So you might have to rinse more often, or rinse and wipe or something like that. I think this is just an ornamental nib, so let's try this one. Oh gosh, I picked up a lot of ink. Yeah, so this acts a lot like sort of thin acrylic paint. So I also wanted to try this out with a little bit of abstract art. I use a lot of acrylic inks with my watercolors, so I'm kind of thinking this will work similar to that, so let's have a go. I think I'm going to use a different brush. Not my beautiful Jackson's brush for this because it's not watercolor. So I'm going to put a little bit of water down here, and then I'm going to grab some of this. Ooh, yeah, so it acts like an acrylic ink. See how it disperses? Oh, that is beautiful. Let's get a sharper edge on here. Yeah, I love how acrylic inks act with watercolors. They kind of disperse the color a little bit, and it's fun. I actually spray that too. Wow, that is a gorgeous color. I love it. And I want it to kind of seep into this area here. Actually, I want to spray it a little bit more because I want the paper to be wet. Because the acrylic ink likes to crawl into these spaces where it's wet. I'm going to put the lid on this because I don't want it to dry out. But I think I'm going to do just a little more down here with something. What do I want? Let's do a dark color. I like that. This looks a little bit plain. Maybe I'll put a wash over it when it dries. I'm just going to put one of these little pad pucks under here because I want this ink to flow up to that line there. So this just elevates it. Okay, so this is all dry now. I'm going to bring this color back into here, and I think I might actually put some metallic in as well. Okay, and I might use the Shimmer Aqua Bronze for this. Who knows how it'll turn out? Let's try it. So I'm just going to get a little bit. And because this is the only part that's wet, I'm hoping that this is the only part that it will stay on. So just use a soft brush to get the excess off. And then we're left with this super subtle gold. Okay, so here's our little finished abstract piece. I really love the calligraphy ink. It was definitely acted more like an acrylic ink, and it reacted a little bit with the watercolor, which is really lovely. You can also use a dropper, which is really nice because when you put it on, it does this big disperse. Using the paintbrush sort of pushes it around much more calmly, but I really want to try it with a dropper because I think that would be fun. But as far as the color goes, it's a very cool toned pink, nice and deep, and yeah, more sort of purpley mauve than more of the reddish pinks. So absolutely gorgeous color, works beautifully in this kind of color palette. I think the gold really works well with it as well. Also, my sad attempts at calligraphy are dry. So as you can see, it dried to this really lovely matte finish. It's almost like if you've used acrylic wash, it definitely has like a little bit of texture to it. And up here where I laid it on really thick, you can feel the individual letters. So that's kind of cool. I did smear this a little bit while it was still wet, but now that it's completely dry, it's perfect. Yeah, so this is again Lightfast and waterproof. I did a test up here. The paper hated the water, but the ink did not budge at all. So yeah, I think it's a really beautiful little ink for calligraphy, and for art it worked great as well. So I will put all the links in the description to this. You can get it at Ferris Wheel Press, and Atlas Stationers is also carrying the new line, which is 4 inks, which is a blue, this dusty pink, a bright pink, and a green, a sage green, I think. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!